Swallow your cookie. Now he lost it. That's right. So, the leadership mentality. If you're in a leadership role, take a good hard look at the approaches you're using, because he's saying, hey, the leadership mentality has to change. Because life has changed. And if you're frustrated, and you're angry, or if you feel inadequate, don't do either one. Just listen to the words of Drucker. He's a pretty smart guy, Peter F. Drucker. Every couple hundred years, Western society changes. Okay, how many of you in the last 10 years woke up one day and said, what in the world happened? Yeah, that's because things change. Now it's just a matter of you changing. All right, somebody else, what did you take? Go.
I think the prosumer concept that I've always applied that to the product that really applies to our organizations as well.
Absolutely. Because in your community-based organization, you're just trying to get people's time, talent, and treasure. So what's the best way to structure us, organize us, market us, all of that, to get them more of people's time, talent, and treasure? And all of you in the voluntary sector that are working off the zero-sum mentality, you're in competition for that grant dollar. You're in competition for that volunteer hour. If you're in the room right now thinking like that, bad, 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 bad. A zero-sum approach. I win, you lose. You win, I lose is a bad idea. It won't work. Way back in the day, if you Googled me, you found out that I used to be in the casino industry, and I did. I helped run a big hotel casino back in the States in Nevada. When did Vegas really take off? Vegas really took off when casinos stopped marketing themselves. Do you ever see a commercial for an individual casino anymore? Not in the States. You see a commercial for what? Vegas. And why do they market Vegas? Does anybody know the thought process behind it?
Family.
Not family. Not family. Yeah. But what it is this. The thought process was, we can either fight against each other and steal from one another, or we can just get everybody to town, and eventually they'll walk up in my shop. Eventually they'll walk into my place. Just get them to town, because we can't win if we don't get them to town. Here's what my suggestion would be to all of you that are involved in the voluntary sector, community-based organizations, or whatever. Just start promoting volunteerism. Just start promoting philanthropy. Just start promoting people and getting involved in their community. Tonight we're going to give out some awards. Where's Cheryl? Is Cheryl here? Cheryl Bolt on us? Cheryl's like, I'm out. So tonight we're going to give out some awards for volunteerism, which I think is really, really cool. And we're going to give out some awards for Community of Bloom, which is awesome. However, again, a waste of time. What do you mean? That's kind of rude. They invited you to come. You just said it's a waste of time. Look, I'm getting on the plane at 6:15 tomorrow morning. I don't care. So, but just hear me out on this. What if, in 1 week, everybody that got an award tonight for excellence in volunteerism had to teach what they were great at? What if they had to share their great marketing? What if they had to share their great fundraising ideas? What if they had to share? What if they had to share? So we awarded you, great job, mid-sized volunteer organization on marketing. Great job, small volunteer organization on volunteer recruitment. And then a week later, all of the winners had to give a workshop on what they were great at. How many say that'd be pretty cool? Practically speaking, what would that do to the capacity of our community? Because we would start sharing excellence with everybody. Would you agree with me, by show of hands, those of you that agree with this, raise your hand, that that would make us the community all would want to live in? This stuff isn't brain surgery. All right, write this down. Anybody else? Something you took away from the last 45 minutes? Yes, ma'am.
Meaningful and hold on, I wrote it down.
Okay.
Fulfilling and meaningful.
Is your experience when people come and interact with your organization, is it meaningful and fulfilling? If it isn't meaningful and fulfilling, they won't come back. Period. They won't come back. Make sure it's meaningful and fulfilling. Now you, the irrationally passionate people, are walking around like this. Come and be a part of what we're doing. It's so much fun. Because you've been doing it all your life, or you've been doing it and you're burned out. And you're like, oh, you'll have such a great time with us. Yay. How many of you feel like that sometimes? I agree. I feel like that sometimes too, but here's the problem. Nobody wants to be a part of that. So your systems and processes have to ask the question, what would be meaning and fulfilling to you? And then make sure they get that all the time. Like, let them be kids. I ask our board members, what do you want? Why are you part? Oh, I love being with kids. I want to see the kids smile and at the playgrounds, and I want to be a part of that. Well, when you're at the national level, you never go to a playground, Bill. The fact that I came to Crystal Beach was very rare. So when a board member says that to me, I got to make sure what? At least 3 times a year they go do what? Go build a playground. Because otherwise, 2 years from now, they're not going to want to be a part anymore. Again, asking those questions up front, and I'll give you a questionnaire that you can use for that. Okay, let's take the balance of our time and talk a little bit about each one of those competencies. Agent of change, big picture systems thinker, systems thinking, and catalyst for responsibility. And I'll try to give you some tools in each one, right? Just so you leave someone satisfied and you had a tool. Agent of change. Let's talk about how to change something. First of all, trust is the key to change. Trust is the key to change. You will not change. You will absolutely not change unless either 1, you trust the people leading the change, and or 2, you trust the process for change, and or 3, you trust the destination for change. And I would strongly encourage you to have at least 2 of the 3. Let's review. And I'll do it practically. So I'm asking this table right here to change. And they trust me. So I'm in the big brother, big sister organization, and I come and I'm like, okay, dude, here's the deal. We're changing the way we do things around here. And you guys all look at me and you're like, well, you know what? He has successfully led us through change before. I'm in. How many of you ever experienced that with change? The guy or the gal who's advocating for it, they have successfully led you through change, or you have a relationship with them, so you don't even question it, you just go for it. You're in, because you trust them. Second way, you might not trust me, but you trust the process. You've experienced the process that we're utilizing for change. It has seemed to be sound. It has seemed to be fair. It has seemed to be relevant. So you're okay with it. I don't like you, Ian, but I know the process, and the process works. You know, we're talking about community engagement, right? A lot of community engagement discussion. And you look down in the States, perfect example of community engagement. How many of you in an active community, how many of you remember that whole thing in the States in Ferguson, Missouri? Remember Ferguson? And in Baltimore. How many of you by show of hands would agree those citizens were engaged? No, they were engaged. They were out of their houses every day, putting themselves in harm's way, and they were fully engaged. I'm not saying it was the most positive experience at all, but they were engaged. Why? They were engaged because they had got to the end of their rope. Now, there was energy there. What if we could have channeled that energy in a positive way? Don't tell me citizens are apathetic. They're not apathetic. They stopped trusting the process, and that made them move. No longer trusting the process. Or then finally, trusting the destination. We'll use this example. If I wanted to get you to help me build a boat, what would be the strategy that you would deploy to successfully build a large boat that could accommodate 50 people? What would you do? To get the money, to get the nails, to get the wood, to get the tar? What would you do if you had to build a boat? Well, how would you go about getting the resources in this community to get yourself a boat built? Okay, a business plan. What else? What would you do? What's that? Okay, she said that she would tell them that they could use the boat afterwards. That's unique. Okay, somebody else. Now, the boat is analogous to your next community project. Okay, you can go out and look for the boat builders that before. Somebody else. Okay, now I'll tell you how I do it. Here's what I do. Hey everybody, check this out. Way over there on the other side of that water is the coolest thing you've ever seen. Here's some pictures. It is the most amazing thing you've ever, and there's guys, and there's girls, and there's fruit, and there's animals, and it is paradise. And you guys all go, that's pretty awesome. What's the next thing you're gonna say? How are we gonna get there? And I'll say this, well, we need a boat. And then what are you gonna say? Well, how do we get a boat? And I say, well, I don't know. We need some nails, we need some wood, we need some tar. And then what's one of them gonna say? I got it, I got it, I got it, I got it, I got it. There you go. We have to get a plan. But all of a sudden, who just took ownership of this thing? In a minute, I'm going to walk you through a process that does just that. Just remember, change is about trust. Unfortunately, we're in a society that is less what? Trusting. It's about building trusting relationships. So let me give you a tool that you can do right now. There'll be a video on this. If you want to be an agent of change, do the following. Everybody write this down. There'll be a video on this. Actually, a couple. 100 cups of coffee. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a list of the people, and you can do it right now. And we won't do 100, we'll just do 3. Make a list of 3 people that you need to get done what you need to get done. Who are those 3 people? People of influence, not prominence. Stop before you start writing it down. I'm not talking about people of prominence. No offense to the elected officials or the mayor who was here earlier. When I come to do a project in a town, I don't want to talk to the mayor. You just find me the 5 moms with the loudest mouths. That's who I want to talk to. No. Why do I want to talk first to the 5 moms with the loudest mouths? Because you know what? I'm eventually going to come up against them. I'm eventually going to come up against those people of influence. I might as well go talk to them first and build trusting relationships with them. Positive change, being an agent of change, is about the capacity to build trusting relationships. So now I want you to write down the 3 people of influence, not prominence. The people who get things done. The people who are behind the scenes. Who are the 3 people you need? Maybe it's in your organization. Maybe there's that 20-year employee that's got no titles, but runs the show. And everybody says this, what kind of a mood is Mary in today? Because Mary, how many of you know Mary? Don't make eye contact with anybody. Right? Mary runs the show, or Bob runs the show, even though they have no title. Their attitude, their charisma, their negativity or positivity runs the show. Well, every neighborhood has a Mary and a Bob. Every organization has a Mary and a Bob. All I got to do is make a list of all the Marys and Bobs in town, and I will get it done. And I've done it over and over again. So, write down 3 names of people of influence, not prominence, that you need. Who are the 3 people? Write them down. Quick. We don't have much time. We don't have much time. So now watch. Follow me here. I'm giving you a tangible tool of how to raise more money, get more volunteers, and get things done in the community. First step, identify the people of influence. Now, if it's me, I'm making a list of 50 people. But for just the exercise, 3 people. And then you color code them based on how they are engaged with your thing, whatever that thing is. Red, yellow, green. Red, they have no idea who you are, they're totally against. Yellow, they're indifferent. Green, they're on board. But they're not a champion. So, I make my list. Then, red, yellow, green. Red, yellow, red, green, yellow, red, green, green, yellow, red. So if I was going to do a new thing here in Fort Erie, that's the first thing I'd do. I don't need any money. I don't need anything. I would make my list of people of influence. And I would then color code them based on how I think that they are reacting to me or my project. Red, yellow, green. Now the goal is to do this. Do you think the goal is to get everyone to green? Is the goal to get everybody to green? Do I want to get all the people of influence in town to green about my project? Yes or no? No. It's unrealistic. Not everybody's going to be on board. Yeah, but those reds, what am I going to do with the reds? I just want red to shut up. No, let's be practical. I need them to go from being against what I'm doing to just being quiet. I don't need them to be on board. Just stop bashing what we're doing. How many of you know you just need them to shut up? Yeah, that's all. And I'm not being rude, I'm just saying, if this person is against what I'm doing and they stop openly ridiculing what I'm doing, have I won, yes or no? Yeah. Okay, red, yellow, green. Now, I'm going to work, even if it takes 100 cups of coffee, to build a trusting relationship with them. You see, that's the difference between alignment and consensus. I don't need you to agree, I just need you to trust me. You can trust me and not agree with me. There was a time that politicians used to work together. They didn't agree, but they trusted each other. I knew if you said what you said, that the vote was going to go away, I could count on that. And you knew that the same for me. We didn't agree, but we were aligned. Does that make sense? On a side note, a little bit of a tangent here. We, all of us are to blame. We've created a culture of blame in our society, not of accountability. Under the guise of accountability, we've created this culture of blame, where that counselor over there is I'm not using him personally, painting with a broad brush now. A counselor like him is afraid to do anything innovative. Why? Because he'll get eviscerated. If he does anything innovative and it fails, he'll get blasted, he'll get ripped apart. His character will be called into question. He's a bum, he's a thief, he's a jerk. I mean, his kids will be embarrassed when they open up the paper and read about it. Am I right or wrong? And we wonder why there's no innovation amongst our elected officials. We wonder why city staff won't do anything out of the box. They won't do anything out of the box because they'll get fired if it fails. And so here's what happens. Everybody earns their badge by blaming. I'm going to get elected because I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it by getting all the bad people out. Because everybody's bad. And everybody's a crook. And everybody's a loser. And everybody's a failure. And they're all screwing us over every single day. And get them out. And who created that culture? We all did. Because we allowed them. So instead, I'm for accountability. Yes, tell me what you're going to do, tell me how much you're going to spend, tell me the objectives, tell me the outcomes, tell me the impact, tell me all that. And then if it works, great, we'll celebrate you. If it doesn't, then you'll explain to us why, and we'll have some accountability. And there's consequences to failure, yes. But I don't have to attack and impinge your character as a human being. You think about the lack of innovation at the municipal level in communities across Canada, it's almost appalling. I'll give you a visual. Here's what it looks like usually. Everybody write this down. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. What does that equal, everybody? What does that equal? 10. Excellent job. You didn't have to go to your smartphones. Wonderful. Well done. Equals 10. If I want that to be a different answer, what do I have to do?
Change one of the numbers.
I got to change something. But this is what most change looks like in community across Canada and beyond. We all sit in the meeting. We take our white pieces of paper and we stick them on the wall. Then we go up and we write our ideas. Then we take our sticky dots and we put them next to the ones we like the most. How do we bring that in? And here's what comes out of that. Ian, I got an idea. What? Put the 2. Okay, who else? I got an idea, Ian. Put the 3. Anybody else? Who else? Idea. 4. Excellent. Now what? The 1. Yes. Yeah. And then we do this. Good job. That was awesome. You're great. And then what's the answer? Because no one's willing to change. No one's willing to change. Why aren't they willing to change? Because they're dumb? They're not dumb. because we've created a culture of blame. A friend of mine, you may know his name. His name is Vern White. Anybody ever heard the name Vern White? He's a senator. Anybody heard of Senator Vern White? So Senator Vern White is in Ottawa. And he became senator after being the chief of police for the city of Ottawa. And prior to that, he was the chief of police of the Durham region. That's where I met Vern. Vern said to me one time, he said, Ian, you're not very innovative. I was like, what? The typical cop, just giving you the gears, right? Like, what? You're not very innovative. I said, well, Vern, maybe you didn't know that I was nominated a PM volunteer, most innovative social innovator of the year. Prime Minister Social Innovator of the Year, Vern. Maybe you didn't remember that. You're not very innovative. I said, well, maybe you didn't realize, Vern, but, Let Them Be Kids was nominated Volunteer Organization of the Year in Canada. Vern, you're not very innovative. I said, okay, stop busting my chops here, brother. Why are you saying that? Because you don't fail enough. If you were innovative, you'd fail more. Now stop and think about that. Any of you that have been in business, you know that's true. You gotta push the envelope to really make something cool happen. Is there any space in Fort Erie for somebody failing? If not, how do you think you're gonna get any innovation? How many times did it take Edison? Edison, right? Just down the road, good old Edison. How many times did it take Edison to get to the incandescent light bulb? How many? Thousands. Like 60,000. So, if you're walking with the mindset that every single time a community leader, formal or informal, tries something that's got to be perfect, you're a fool. And you're contributing to the culture of blame. So start to be a little bit more forgiving, start to give a little bit more space, and let people fail sometimes. So that we'll get some innovation out of it. Now think about your own organization. Big brothers, big sisters. Anybody get to fail? Anybody get to screw it up? Anybody get to mess it up? And how many times did they get to? Now I didn't say do their job poorly, but I'm talking about innovation here. Do they ever get to innovate? So when we go have these cups of coffee with people, we're building trusting relationships. Wait a minute, cups of coffee, I don't understand. Trust. So I made red, yellow, green. I'm going to go down and meet with every one of these people. I'm going to go meet with them. What's your name now? Vivian. So Vivian, person of influence, she's on my list. So either I know her, hey Vivian, can we have a cup of coffee? Or you know her. Will you call her and set up a cup of coffee? How many of you know relational marketing, right? So I sit down with Vivian. Vivian, good to meet you. Good to talk with you. We know each other from around town. I see you at the arena. Our kids play together at the whatever, blah, 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 blah. I used to date your friend. Or we used to date. Who knows? I don't know. But then you met that crazy guy. But anyhow. Now, typically, how would that conversation go? Typically, I'm now going to sell her on my idea. Right or wrong? Throw that out the window. Don't do that anymore. Why? Because we're in a user-driven society. Who does she want to talk about? My project? What does she want to talk about? Her project. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do nothing but 80% listening, 20% talking. I'm going to do nothing but ask open-ended questions because my only reason for being here is to build a trusting relationship. How can I help Vivian and how can I help Vivian's organization? So instead of having a sales pitch, let me get some money from you, let me get some time from you, let me get some talent from you, you or your organization. Instead it's, how can I serve you? So Vivian, what group were you with again? Crystal Beach Beautification. I'm just going to hear about their goals. I'm going to hear about their objectives. I'm going to hear about what they're trying to accomplish. And all I'm going to be thinking about is making her feel understood. Listen, making her feel understood. By show of hands, how many of you would align with a group or an individual that you walk away from the table with saying, they understand me? Will you be more or less likely to align with them? More or less? More. All I'm trying to do in this cup of coffee meeting is Vivian walking away saying, Ian understands us. Not sell, not convince, not manipulate, Not cajole, just Ian understands. Now, how do you do that? Number one, shut your mouth. Number two, listen with your ears and your eyes. I always say this, listen like they're going to die at midnight. She gets my full attention. I'm not doing this. That's great, Vivian. That's wonderful, Vivian. That's excellent, Vivian. Yeah. Yeah, what was that? Yes, that's very good, Vivian. Let me look here. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, excellent. How many ever been sitting in a meeting and somebody does that? Are you married? Yeah. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So my point is, I give them my full attention, everything, because I'm trying to build a trusting relationship. Even if it takes a second cup of coffee, a third cup of coffee, a fifth cup of coffee, 100th cup of coffee, not till she feels that I understand her, will I tell her about my thing. And the whole time she's talking, I'm listening to understand, not to respond. Too many of you are listening to respond and not understand. Listening to respond is this: I'll wait till Vivian takes a breath, and then I'll dazzle her with my brilliance. Instead, where's she coming from? What she's about? What's their real motivator in the beautification society out there? What are they trying to do? And when I hear something that would be in alignment with what we're trying to accomplish, that's when I say, I think we can help you. I think we can help you. I think we can help you further that objective. Because we're trying to blah, 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 dee, da, 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 da. How many of you would be more open to that approach? Now, here's the funny thing. How many of you would feel more comfortable using that approach? Instead of walking around trying to sell. Sell, 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 sell. Raise money, raise money, raise money. One of the things you'll find in the next month when I show you the fundraising strategies that we use, I never ask people for money. Google this, you'll see it. In March, I broke the world record for the world's longest speech. 50 hours. I spoke for 50 hours straight. You couldn't stop talking for more than 30 seconds, and you could only take a 5-minute break per hour. And I broke the Guinness World Record for the world's longest speech. And it's still being evaluated by Guinness, and they haven't certified it yet, but I did talk for 50 hours longer than any other human being, at least recorded. And we raised a bunch of money. We raised it for a bunch of kids to play soccer. Who was the soccer person over there? Sorry. So soccer. So I took a bunch of kids from a disadvantaged part of the States and took them to Alberta in the middle of June during the Women's World Cup. And they competed against a bunch of communities in Alberta. And it was a life-changing experience because I wanted them to be changed by Canada like I have been changed by Canada. I wanted them to feel the love that was Canada. And Alberta didn't let me down. Alberta loved these kids, man. In Lethbridge and Lacombe and Red Deer and Stony Plain, they loved these kids. Kids from incredibly difficult circumstances. Well, one of the communities, Lacombe, raised $5,000 for these kids to come from Canada. Kids they'd never met, kids they'd never talked to, kids they'd never seen. How many say that's amazing? Twillingate, Newfoundland raised $1,200 for the kids to come, even though they'd never meet them. How did you pull that off again? I had trusting relationships in those communities, and all I said was this: I want these kids to experience the love of Canada. How do you plan to do it? I just want to bring them and let them meet Canadians and feel a sense of community. And for what? To come and play during the Women's World Cup. And they'll play teams throughout the country, throughout the Alberta. That's all I have to say. And one community raised $5,000. Now, how is that a fundraising strategy? The fundraising strategy was the trusting relationship that had been built over the years. Does that make sense? So all I had to do was cast the vision of what we were doing, and we raised the money. Now, when we broke the world record, we raised about $30,000, but there wasn't enough. It took $90,000 to bring these kids. Do you know a businessman in Alberta? A businessman named Greg donated $20,000. $20,000. Crazy. How many agree? Crazy. Why? Because I just told him what we were doing. I built a trusting relationship, and I said, I'm short. I don't have it. You say, well, Ian, why don't you just write the check? You donated all these playgrounds. Because I didn't have the money. I mean, my business goes like this. I didn't have an extra $20,000. And Greg just stepped in and said, I got your back. Here's 20 grand. And you know what's funny? He's not Oprah. He didn't have 20 grand. In other words, he didn't have an extra 20 grand. It was 20 grand out of him. Like Mother Teresa said, charity's not charity till it's hers. What's your point? My point is, when you have these cup of coffee with people, and the only reason you're having that cup of coffee is to build a relationship, not what I can get, not what I need. You never know when you just put out the word, people show up. Yes, we had donated a playground in Tuolumne for land, that is true. But the people of Tuolumne didn't need to donate $1,200. They literally went, the fishermen went around the dock and just collected money. Ian's doing a project, he needs help. Overwhelming. Have you got trusting relationships in the community? Are you just hanging out in your little network of people? And when you're trying to build those trusting relationships, is it so you can figure out what you can get? Or is it how I can help you? How can I help your group and your organization and your thing? Something changes completely, fundamentally changes, when my only reason for being is to help you be better. And help your group be better and your organization be better. And ask nothing in return. I think that the kids at Lacombe Christian High School, Central Alberta Christian High School, that's who raised the 5,000, a group of 100 kids. I think the only reason they did that is because I had come to their school and I had started some scholarships there and I asked nothing in return. So that when they know I needed help, they were there. And they rallied and raised $5 grand, a bunch of high school kids. So stop and think about it. These people of influence, where do they stand with you? Cup of coffee. Now, if I was a group of big brothers and big sisters, I would make that list as a group. And then I would say, who's talking to who, who's talking to who, who's talking to who, who's talking to who. I would not do it via Facebook. I would not do it via Twitter. I would not do it via your website. I wouldn't do any of that. I'd have a cup of coffee with each person of influence. The counselor, you want to get elected over and over and over again, just do this. Just go have cups of coffee with people. And by show of hands, some of you that have been around for a while and are in the sunset of your days, and I won't look at anybody specifically. How many agree with me? That's how we used to get things done, right? And no matter how sophisticated we get, it doesn't change. But let me throw a little caveat to that. A little caveat and then we'll move on. Trusted conduit of communication. So for some of you in the room, that cup of coffee face-to-face is the trusted conduit of communication. So when you make your list of people of influence, the only thing that I would say, just put a little caveat to it, is for some of these people, the cup of coffee will not be the trusted conduit of communication. The 30-something or 25-something to 30-something, their trusted conduit might be their thumbs. And you might have to build a relationship with them with their thumbs first before you get the cup of coffee. By show of hands, how many say that makes sense? When engaging seniors in this community, what's the trusted conduit of communication? The senior center. And if I wanted to do a project for seniors in this community, I would go and hang out at the senior center. And I would literally sit and listen to all the gossip. Sometimes the trusted conduit of communication in a rural community is the pool. Because all the seniors go to swim at the pool early in the morning. Or Tim Hortons. Or, ready for this? In Two Hills, Alberta, it is the Burger Palace. Everyone goes to the Burger Palace. So when I wanted to do a project in Two Hills, Alberta, where did I go spend the day? At the Burger Palace. And everyone walked in and said, "Who's the chubby brown guy?" And I was like, "Hey, how you doing? Who are you?" "I'm so-and-so and I own such and such." "Let's have a cup of coffee, man." And you just build trusting relationships. And then it's funny how things get done and people find that they're actually in alignment. So Vivian, over that couple of cups of coffee, would realize we're actually in alignment with one another. We're not in competition with one another. Anybody know the word compete? In the ancient Greek, it was not what it means today, where I'm against you. All of you are competing. We're striving together. That's what compete used to mean in ancient Greece. We strive together. How many of you agree with me? Every community-based organization in this room, every nonprofit in the room, we're all striving together. Striving together. So build some trusting relationships. All right. So there'll be videos on this cup of coffee thing that will literally walk you through this sequence by sequence. There's 5 videos, they're short, and they'll walk you sequence by sequence of how to use this 100 cups of coffee strategy. Hundreds, if not thousands of people have used this strategy to get projects done in the community. But ultimately, what does it boil down to? Trusting relationships. All you're trying to do is build trusting relationships, and all that matters. What time is it? 20 to 3, okay. Systems. Let's talk really quickly about systems, and then I'm going to give you a system. So, how many of you, sometime in the last 5 years, have felt overwhelmed? Felt beyond your capacities and beyond your ability? I regularly feel like that. Every professional endeavor that I've been involved in, I've been beyond myself. I didn't either have the education, the experience, or the knowledge to do what I was trying to do. Let them be kids. I've never done anything across, a nation, let alone across the world. Projects in Kenya, Uganda, and now in Ghana. I didn't know how to do that. Every job that I ever had, I was well beyond my knowledge, insight, wisdom, or experience. That job in the casino industry, everybody that reported to me, I had 43 direct reports. Every one of them had been in the business longer than I had been alive. And they knew I didn't know what I was doing. I knew that I didn't know what I was doing. They knew that I knew I didn't know what I was doing. I knew that they knew that I didn't know what I was doing. Everybody knew that I didn't know what I was doing. But I'm not a quitter. And I'm really one of those kind of guys who tries to find a way to win. And one of those nights, trying to help run that big hotel casino, I was just depressed because I knew that everybody knew I didn't know what I was doing. And I always turned to quotes. I was one of those, athletes, former athlete. How many former athletes in the room, right? Former athlete. And so I went to this book of quotes to try to get some inspiration. And I came across the writings of a guy named Archimedes. Anybody ever heard of Archimedes? The great mathematician. He came up with the concept of buoyancy. He came up with the compound pulley and the fulcrum of lever. And Archimedes said this. He said, I read the quote. It said, "Give me a place to stand and I will move the world." Human capacity. You can do it. You can overcome anything. Just give me a place to stand. And I wanted to learn more about this Archimedes because I was so touched by the quote. So I went to the Encyclopedia Britannica. I remember. There was no University of Google back then, right? Encyclopedia Britannica. And I looked up this guy, Archimedes. And mathematician, inventor, phenomenal, one of the fathers of geometry. And the full quote was this: "Give me a fulcrum and lever big enough, and I can move the very world." Let me remind you, fulcrum and lever. That's the big rock and the big stick. And I take the big stick and put it over the rock and under the bigger rock that I can't move by myself. And then I lean on the stick, and what does the big rock do? It moves. And I swear to you, I thought Archimedes was talking to me personally. And what he was saying to me was this: Ian, you don't have to be the smartest. Ian, you don't have to be the most talented. Ian, you don't even have to be the sharpest guy in the room. All that matters is that you have the right system. And you can do it. And that began my journey on systems thinking. Systems is a pretty simple definition. I take all these different parts and I put them together and I deeply integrate them to accomplish a specific task. Now, systems either organically grow up and take hold in an organization, or they're developed for a specific purpose. What do you mean organically grow up and take hold? It sounds like this: I don't know, it's just what we do around here. I don't know, it's just what we do around here. Like no one can even explain it to me, it's just what we do. That system has organically grown up and taken hold. It's just what we do in Fort Erie. Why? I don't even know why. It's just what we do. Or systems are developed for a certain time and place and specific outcome. We take these parts, we put them together to accomplish that thing. If you really did an exploration, what you'd start to come to find is everything's a system. The solar system. Isn't it funny to you that there's this thing millions of kilometers away that if it moved 1 centimeter that way or 1 centimeter this way, it would completely and fundamentally change our lives? And yet it's not connected by wires. Or there's a thing at night that controls the flow of the ocean and back and forth? Isn't that crazy? Or how about on the Serengeti Plain, right? Serengeti Plain, there's all these wildebeest. And there's that one sad wildebeest. And then here comes the lioness, Kua. And then the lions eat. And then the hyenas eat. And then the vultures eat. And then the bugs eat. And then what happens to that wildebeest? It decomposes into the ground. And it's the circle of life, right? And yet, it is a system. Your body is a system. I would suggest to you that Drucker and Deming were right when they said the majority of our problems in organizations are systems-based, not people-based. And I would suggest to you that the majority of our problems in our communities are not people-based, they're systems-based. We're just deploying poor systems. And we're certainly not deploying the systems at times required. So I want you to think about your organization. What's the system you're using to recruit volunteers? Is it comprehensive? Does it take into account the prosumer, user-driven nature of our society? Or how about this? How about the system that you're using to integrate new Canadians? And how are we doing that? And are we doing a good job of it? Or the system for building the citizen of tomorrow, like we talked about earlier. What are the systems we're using in our community? The case that Archimedes made was that the fulcrum and lever was a force multiplier. A force multiplier. He could do more with less. That compound pulley. When he tested the compound pulley, legend has it that there was a boat that was in the bay of his little fishing village. The day before, it took 10 men to pull it in. Archimedes pulled it in by himself using the compound pulley. They thought he was a god because he could do the work of 10 men. But it wasn't his strength, was it, man? It was the system. Now, here's the challenge. Systems are force multipliers, good or bad. So if we have a bad system for building the citizen of tomorrow, that multiplies. If we have a bad system for integrating new Canadians, that multiplies. You think about how much money you might be wasting in this community just because we have outdated systems. And I don't just mean computers. I mean the intangible systems. How about you personally? What's the system you're using to maximize the use of your time? You feel overwhelmed? You feel buried? You feel like you don't have enough time, energy, or resources to get done everything you need to get done? It's probably the system. How about within your organization? What are you doing to motivate volunteers? Like tonight's event is a part of building a system to motivate, to recruit, retain, and motivate volunteers. So we recognize. But as I talked to Cheryl at the beginning, today before you guys came, that's only one part of the system. That in and of itself is not enough. Is it enough just to throw a party every year to keep people motivated, yes or no? No. So what's the system you're using? So I'm going to quickly take you through the system that I would use to get a project off the ground. Fair enough? Ian, how would you get a project off the ground? Here's what I would do. First, I would understand that good-hearted, well-meaning people are destroying things and ruining things every day. So somebody tell me by show of hands, or somebody give me something that breaks your heart. Somebody tell me something that breaks your heart. I'm being serious. What's that? Neglect. Neglect of what? Okay, so neglect of where you live, and blight and neglect. Breaks your heart. Somebody else, what breaks your heart? Yes, ma'am? Okay, the opinion of the public of those who are living in poverty breaks your heart. All right, somebody else, what breaks your heart? Yes? What's that? Graffiti breaks your heart. The defacing of community property. Somebody else, yes?
Lack of hope.
Lack of hope breaks your heart. Kids. Wasted potential. Animal abuse. Two things now. One, if nothing jumped to your mind, you need to go sit by the lake for a while and get back in touch with who you are as a human being if nothing breaks your heart. Two, tell you a little story, which is going to come off being a little rude, but how many of you know you already know I don't care, right? This lady walked up to me at an event like this, a lot bigger event, but an event like this. Mr. Hill, just thank you for what you and your wife have done for the kids of not only Canada, but North America and all over the world. I've read some of about it. It's amazing. You know, I didn't know you before I came here, but at the breaks I've been Googling, and it just really is amazing. Thank you. So, you know, you're welcome. I mean, what do you say to that? You just, yeah. And she says, I love kids. And I said, you do? She said, yes, I love kids. I said, where are you from? And she told me she was from a town of about 30,000 people in Saskatchewan. And a little bit small. And I said, oh, that's great. And I said, you love kids, yes. And what organization are you part of? She told me. I said, you really love kids? She says, I do. I said, well, tell me, what are the top 5 strategies of drug intervention in a community your size or smaller? She says, what? I said, well, you know, drugs are destroying our kids. And if you love kids, what are the top 5 intervention strategies of, you know, making sure kids don't either get on drugs or get off drugs? She says, well, I don't know. And what do you think I said? Well, then you don't love kids very much. Now you say that sounds harsh. But how many of you agree with me? If she really loved kids, she would be equipped to help kids, yes or no? Yeah. Well, I don't know this. I just know this. I don't know. I just know this. She needs to be equipped. I don't mean to be harsh to you. I say this in the most love that I could possibly say. But that thing that breaks your heart, when was the last time you studied about it? That thing that breaks your heart, when was the last time you did some research on it? When was the last time you went to the University of Google? How many ever gone to the University of Google? When was the last time you went to the University of Google? So here's what I challenge you to do over the next 30 days. That thing that breaks your heart, I want you to go every day and type it into Google. And I want you to spend 15 minutes getting equipped about the thing that breaks your heart. 15 minutes of reading the case study. 15 minutes of reading about what they're doing in Vancouver, or what they're doing in St. John's, or what they're doing in Mobile, Alabama, or what they're doing in Lismore, Australia. How many agree with me? If you did 15 minutes a day for the next 30 days about the thing that broke your heart, you'd be better equipped to take on that evil, yes or no? And now you can truly say it breaks my heart. Again, I'm saying it in as much love as I possibly can. But as I go from community to community, I come and meet good-hearted, well-meaning people that just don't know what the heck to do. But for the first time in the history of mankind, you don't need to. You can find out what they're doing somewhere else. And then you talk to them. You call them on the phone. Hi, this is Ian. How you doing? I read what you're doing. It's amazing. Send me all the stuff. And what will they do? Send you all the stuff, won't they? And then you call them back and say, I got some questions. I read this. I don't know. Explain to me. And they'll explain it. And then you say to them, I'm going to borrow it. And what are they going to say? Go for it. And then you take their letterhead off and put your letterhead on and you do it. Am I right or wrong? And that's how the world becomes a better place. System. So you find out what somebody else is doing and you bring their system. But it starts with what breaks your heart. So here's what I would do if I was going to start a new project, really quickly. First, I'd go to the University of Google and I'd start researching the thing. It breaks my heart, I got to learn more about it. Who's doing it? Who's fixing it? And then, everywhere I would go for 3 weeks, I would do this. What's your name? Sandra, how are you? Good to see you. Hey, Ian, what's going on? I'm just going to use this. I'm not saying it's true in your community. You know what, Sandra? This homeless thing is breaking my heart. People that are living on the street, people that are eating out of a garbage can. It's killing me, Sandra. Sandra's either going to do this. Wow. You know, me too. Or she's going to do this. Hey, who's playing a hockey night on Canada? I would make it, watch now, true. I would make a mental note of the response of every person that I cast that vision of what I broke, was breaking my heart. I just make a mental note. Just cast a vision. Notice I'm not casting the vision of the solution. Why am I not casting the vision of the solution? Why am I not casting the vision of the solution? Why am I not casting the vision of the solution? Huh? Because we're in a user-driven society. And if I cast the vision of the solution, they're not going to want to play. They want to have a hand in solving it. All I'm casting the vision is of the problem. I'm trying to identify the early adopters. The self-selected early adopters. So I just cast the vision of the problem. and see who's in. Who's in? I go home every night and I make a mental note, or I make a physical note of what was in my mind. Bob was in, Jane was in, Jack was out, Larry was out, Mo and Curly were out. Mo and Curly. Anyways, only a couple of you got that. Anyhow, you need to watch more YouTube videos from days gone by. So, now what do? Those people whose body language or response showed some interest, I'm going to circle back to 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. Now remember, I've been on my own doing research, haven't I? Every day, 15 minutes. I got the people that showed some interest. Now I come back to them. Hey, Bev, how are you? We're at the arena. We're watching our kids play whatever. And we're playing hockey. So the kids are playing hockey. Bev and I are in the stands. Bev, you know, I've been doing some research on this homeless thing. Wow, Ian, this has really been touching your heart. Yeah, I know. And you know what I've come to find? And I start talking to her. Now, if her eyes glaze over and they roll up in the back of her head, what do I know? She's not in. But if she looks at me and she's like, that's interesting, can you send me that link? What do I know? She has an interest. So here's what I've done. I started with a list of people. I circled back, out, 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 out. What do I have? I have self-selected early adapters. Now I circle back one more time. We're in about the 5th, 6th week. Bev, for the last 6 weeks, I've been doing research on this thing that breaks my heart. And I've noticed that every time I've talked to you about it, you've really expressed an interest. Yeah, I know, it breaks my heart too, and I've even looked at some of the links you sent me. We could really get that thing fixed around here. Well, I appreciate that you feel that way. I'm having a little thing at my house with some people that feel the same way. And I'd like to invite you to come. No pressure, no big deal. We're just going to sit around, have a cup of coffee, or have a beer, or have a wine, or whatever, and we're just going to talk about this problem. What have I done? Now she may not come, right? But out of the 50 people I've talked with, by using that, how many people do you think generally will show up? But what do I know about those 4 to 5 people? Are they interested or are they in? They're in. Because they had to jump the first hurdle, the second hurdle, the third hurdle, and then they showed up. Here's what you guys do. And again, when I say you guys, broad brush, right? You hang up, you say, we're going to take on this problem. And so you hang up flyers everywhere. You put it out on social media. And you get 200 people to show up for the first meeting. This is awesome! And then by the 5th meeting, you got 4 people. You got 2 people that really care, the crazy guy that shows up to everything, and the 1 person that just wants some food. Am I right or wrong? So instead, circle the other way. Cast the vision, cast the vision, cast the vision. See who responds, see who responds, see who responds. And then eventually call the question. 4 to 5 people show up. So now I've got my first concentric circle. What's the first task of those 4 to 5 people? What do you think the first task of the first, what do you think the first task of the 4 to 5 people is? It's the first task. What do you think the first task is? Do the exact same process. So they go to their sphere of influence and they do the exact same thing. Now remember, not only are they talking and casting the vision, not of the solution, just of the challenge. They're also going to the University of Google as well for the next 3 weeks. By the time we get to the 90th, to the, let's say 120th day, basically 4 months, what do I have? I'll probably have 20 to 25 what kind of people? Committed and what else? Knowledgeable. I'll have 20 to 25 committed and knowledgeable people. And do you think I can kick butt with that, yes or no? And do you think I'll take a community by storm with that, yes or no? Oh yeah, no doubt. Because they're not doing it for me. How many of you recruited like this? Bev, you owe me. I helped you with your thing. You're going to help me with mine. But please be very aware. Anytime you try to change a world that you're reluctant to change, it will be incredibly difficult and hard. And at some point, Bev is going to bail. Ian, I'm in it for you, but this thing is getting really hard. Not everybody is down for this, and we're coming up with some real resistance. But when I've done this exercise, and I've got these 20 to 25 people, and then I turn around and do this, go have 100 100 cups of coffee with like 20 to 25 people. How many agree with me? By 6 months, I got the town in the game. Yes or no?
Yes.
How much did this cost? How much? 0. Some coffee. Timmy Horton should be my sponsor. Okay, let's review really quickly. This is a system. It works in every town, in every neighborhood, corner of Jane and Finch, Longview, Alberta. It works everywhere. I cast the vision to identify the self-selected early adapters. Now I'm giving you the academic language. I cast the vision to identify the self-selected early adapters. I make sure I give them a couple hurdles to jump over so that that final question, come to the bar, come to my house, come to this meeting, then whoever shows up, that's who I work with. I don't worry about the mayor not being there. I don't worry about the business person not being. I work with whoever shows up. And then they do the exact same exercise. 120 days later, we got anywhere from 15 to 25 people. Now, there'll be a video about what to do next. Because then it's about getting some early victories, then it's about having impact and outcome language so that the community understands what we're really about. But that's based on the 100 cups of coffee, because we've gone out and talked to everybody and we really understand what they want and what they need, so that our language is in alignment. We circle back, once we've got our language, we circle back to make sure that it resonates with people, and we have those 100 cups of coffee again, and we use our messaging to make sure our messaging works, and that people are excited about our messaging. If it doesn't work, we go back and tweak it. Yeah, but when do you roll it out to the community? You don't roll it out to the community until all of that is done. So that when you roll it out to the community, what do you almost guarantee? Success. Why is that important? That way the next time you want to do something crazy, what is everybody willing to do? Okay, let them be kids. So we do let them be kids, 168 projects across the country. Everybody has great success. When we put out the call for applications for becoming a community builder in Alberta, how many marketing pieces do you think we had to send out to get 35 applications? 35 communities apply the first time around. How many marketing pieces did we send out? 1. We sent out 1 email. Within the first hour, we had 10 applications. By 48 hours later, we had 35 applications. Anybody know why? Because we had built 27 playgrounds across Alberta. We've built trusting relationships in 27 communities, large and small. We've done the thing up in Fort McMurray. We just sent out a note that said, hey, everybody, because everybody said this. I'm thinking everybody said this. He's done crazy stuff before. This will probably work. I'm in. So it's really important that you build a track record of success. Now, what happens when you fail? You stand up and say this: we failed. That stunk. That was horrible. It's like this report that we're going to do for becoming a community builder. It'll be out in just a very short period of time. The report might say it didn't work. And if it says it didn't work, what's it important for us to do? Spread that just as loud as if it had worked. Why? Why is it just as important to spread the report that it didn't work as the report to say it didn't?
Somebody else will do it the same way.
Because so someone else won't do it the same way. So we've been true to our mission. Why else?
Innovative ideas.
What's that?
Innovative ideas.
Innovative ideas. What else? Who's just said trust? Yeah. Trust. Because you stand up and say, it didn't work, we were wrong, that strategy was no good. And you say, at least he's upfront and straightforward, at least he's honest. So the next time I come through and say, hey, we're going to do this harebrained idea, you'll say in your mind, you know what, at least we're going to get a report, good or bad, right or wrong, I'm in. So for you, what system are you using to engage the community? These are all simple systems that I provided you. They're free systems, and they're based on what I think is critical today: trust. When you used to go book a trip to Florida in the middle of February 20 years ago, who did you call? Travel agent. How do you book a trip to Florida today in the middle of February? I'll show you how you do it. I'll show you, and then we got to go, because then we got to be done. This is how you book that trip. If it has 4 smiley faces, you book it, yes or no? Why? Why? No, this is really important. Because you trust the 4 smiley faces more than you do the trained professional who went to school to be a travel agent, who's certified by the province to be a travel agent. You trust the 4 smiley faces more than you do the professional. It's all about trust today. So, if you want to be an agent of change, then you have to build systems that build trusting relationships. The last one, which we didn't talk about, this whole idea of being a catalyst for responsibility. We'll talk about buy-in, we'll talk about building individual, organization, and community pride. But now we've come to the end of our time, right? It's just after 3. We started at 3:15, so we're going to be done here in about 4 minutes. Everybody, now flip your page and give me a clean sheet of paper. I just need a clean sheet. Today and the next 30 days is free. You're not going to be asked to do anything. The web page, how long is the web page going to be available to the citizens of Fort Erie and the surrounding area? How long?
30 days.
No. How long will it be available? Forever. That's me and my wife's commitment to you. Today, and that 30 days is my commitment to you. And then, keeping it up forever, our commitment to you. We're freely giving to you. It costs money to do that. It costs money to keep that website up. It costs money to post the videos. I got to pay staff to do all that. Those of you that left your email, you'll get an email from me on Monday morning. And then you'll get an email from me. Not to sell you anything, just to say, okay, here's what we're talking about this week. And then keep you on track. How many of you know we'll all need to be kept on track? Hey, there's a fundraising video that just got posted. And in that email, there'll be educational material. Might be a handout, might be an exercise for you to do. Little blips along the way for 30 days. And I'm not asking you for anything except 2 things. 1, make your commitment on Monday morning of next week. You have between now and Monday to start thinking about what's my commitment going to be. Is it in my house? Is it with my kids? Is it with my spouse? Is it my own physicality and my own health? Is it with my organization? Is it somebody in the community? Is it something I've been dreaming of doing but I haven't done and now this is going to be the impetus? I don't know. But we got about 100 people in this room and I better get 100 commitments. No, I'm serious. Don't take that philanthropy and that kindness and disrespect it. Make your commitment. How many agree I've made a commitment? How many say it's reasonable that you make a commitment? That's number 1. Number 2, the number 2 thing you have to do is think about these following 5 questions. Okay, 5 questions that I want you to think about over the next 30 days. I call them life's 5 most encouraging questions. I'd like you to write them down. Question number 1. What will be my greatest contribution to my family? Question number 1. What will be my greatest contribution to my family? Now seriously, over the next 30 days, I want you to come up with answers to this. And you can't just say, well, I gave my family food or a place to live. Why is your spouse, why are your kids better off having you as mom or dad? What do you bring to the party that no other parent or no other spouse could bring? Second, what will be my greatest contribution to those that I serve? What will be my greatest contribution to those that I serve? So question number 1, what will be my greatest contribution to my family? Question number 2, what will be my greatest contribution to those that I serve? Question number 3. What will be my greatest contribution to those that I lead? Those that I lead. What will be my greatest contribution to those that I lead? And don't say, well, I'm not a formal leader. Everybody in this room is a leader or you wouldn't be here. The whole conversation around leadership wouldn't interest you if you weren't some kind of a leader or aspired to leadership. So what will be your greatest contribution to those that you lead? Question number 4. What will be your greatest contribution to your organization? Your company, your business, the group that you're a part of, your place of faith, your minor athletic group that you're a part of, your car club. What will be your greatest contribution? And then finally, what will be my greatest contribution to Fort Erie, or the place that I call home? Now, if you're from a couple of different places, you could say society. But let's make it very personal. What will be your greatest contribution to this town? So, question 1, greatest contribution to your family. Question 2, greatest contribution to those you serve. Question 3, greatest contribution to those you lead. Question 4, greatest contribution to your organization. Question 5, Greatest contribution to your society or the town you live in. Quickly, what do you notice about those questions? They're what you're going to do. What else do you notice about those questions? It starts in and works itself out. What else do you notice about those questions? What's that?
Responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility. I think the community, the country, the world longs for leaders, formal or informal, that have these questions in the forefront of their mind every day. I think society is fed up with leaders that are looking to how they can line their own pockets, how they can make their situation better, how they can park in the best parking space, how they can take the finest office. How do you agree with me? You think you would agree that society is fed up with those kind of leaders? We're looking for leaders that put the needs of followers before their own. How many of you would give your allegiance to a leader that puts these things in the forefront of their mind every day and live that? You want to marshal human capital? Put these in the forefront of your mind. What else do you see or notice about these? They're all proactive. What am I going to do? Just like Crystal Beach and places like that with a little lighthouse, you know, at the top of that playground. I don't know if it still has it, but the whole idea was there was going to be that light. Well, these questions act as a lighthouse. This is what I'm going to do with my life. I would strongly encourage you to thoughtfully consider, what are you doing with your life? How are you making the community a better place? Now, for some of you, you've been doing community all your lives, and we honor you. For others of you, we're going to honor you tonight. But remember, if we always do what we've always done, we'll always get what we always got. And if we want Fort Erie to be a little bit better tomorrow than it was yesterday, something's going to have to change. And that starts with you. You know what? I'm 50 years old this year. 50. And I know I got to change. We've done some amazing things, and I've gotten some fancy awards, nationally, internationally. But if I'm going to continue to make an impact and make the world a better place, I got to change. I got to be less controlling. I got to be more trusting. I got to shut my mouth and listen and let other people take the lead. And more importantly, than anything in the world, I got to build a better relationship with my 12-year-old daughter. Anybody ever had a 12-year-old daughter? Is it like when a kid turns 12, they completely lose their mind? Well, you're looking at a dad that has no idea. Listen now. You're looking at a dad that has no idea how to engage his 12-year-old daughter. And the sad part about that is, she's going to find some man to talk to. If she can't talk to her dad, she's going to find some man. So my commitment over the next 30 days, I'm going to find a way to be a better dad to my 12-year-old. Like I told you, it's not a game or a joke to me. This is real stuff. And if you'll take that same very transparent approach that I just took with you, people I don't even know, how many agree with me the place will be better really quick? So that's what I'm going to commit to. Nia. Little Nia. Not Mia, but N. N-I-A. Nia. It's an anagram of Ian. She's named after me. But for some reason, there's a big chasm between her and I right now. And I got to close that gap real quick. Because if I don't, she's going to go sideways real fast. So that's my commitment. What's going to be your commitment? I can't thank you enough for taking 3 hours out of your lives to come. No clap yet. No. But I'm not just thanking you for what you've done here today and just being here. I'm thanking you for your years of service and your commitment to community and all the organizations that you said you were a part of. Fort Erie is a better place because of all of you. So on behalf of my wife and I, we just thank you for your commitment to community. And I look forward to hanging out with you for the next 30 days. Counselor?
Thank you everyone for joining us. One of the most precious commodities we have in our lives is time, and we appreciate that you took 3 hours of your time today to be here. I want to personally thank Ian for joining us today. I truly believe in this community we can succeed at anything for which we have unlimited enthusiasm. So thank you, Ian, for providing us not only with the enthusiasm, but with the tools to harness that enthusiasm and move forward. If each of us could only take some of the steps that we'll learn over the next 30 days, who the hell knows where we could be a month from now. So please take advantage of it. He blessed us with his time today. Let's pay him back over the next month. Thank you very much.
Now go home. There's an event tonight. Come back.
If you haven't done so already, please leave your email address at the front. Ian will send you the information, and we'll also send you a copy of Al Stover's